Hey, we're about to experience massive changes in the housing market because, according to Zillow's latest update, home values are projected to actually drop. That's right, drop, not increase over the next few months. And this is welcome news if you're one of the many buyers that are stuck on the sidelines waiting to buy a house because home prices have been too darn high. And I can understand that because, according to Zillow data, home prices are up over 40% in the last 4 years alone. So, this is definitely exciting news. I have a ton of data to share with you today. Let's get started. Hey, before we get started, a quick shout out to Jason Walter. Jason is in Sacramento. He's a real estate agent. He's also a YouTuber. Check out his channel. I encourage you to do so. And he's helped me tremendously with my YouTube channel. If you're thinking about getting into YouTube, even if it's not for real estate, give him a shout. And Jason can help you edit your videos. Contact him. I'm sure he can help you too. Also, do me a favor and like this video if you get any value at all. And also consider subscribing to my channel and like this video. But whatever you do, leave a comment. I want to understand what's happening in your neck of the woods. But whatever happens, I really appreciate you joining me on this video. Thank you so much for watching. So first, we're going to review the current data from Zillow on the values of homes throughout the United States, looking at the top 100 metros. And then second, we're going to look at their forecast and kind of compare them to see where we've gone over the last couple months and year and where we may be headed. To set this up, let's think about why home prices could actually fall and why they've increased so much over the past few years. Well, it really comes down to supply and demand. Now, a lot of people want to ignore this fact or minimize the fact. However, it's important to realize that more supply, generally speaking, equals lower prices. Lower supply equals higher prices. And we have seen a massive gap in the availability of homes for sale over the last few years, especially affordable homes. But again, Zillow's forecasting that prices will actually drop. So this is probably a function of more inventory, right? And that is correct because inventory is increasing. And while inventory is increasing right now, over the last few years, it really hasn't done a lot to help buyers. So over the last few years, prices have remained elevated despite what a lot of people want, which is a crash and higher rates. A lot of people are not moving. They're not putting their houses on the market and they're not turning them over because they don't want a higher payment with a higher rate and a higher home price. So why sell their current home? But that is changing as more people decide, hey, it's time to sell. I'm sick of waiting. I want my equity, or I need to downsize or maybe even upgrade. But again, we're going to look at values currently and then see where they're going to go. So what I'm sharing with you now on my screen is the data set from Zillow. And what I did was I used a company called Resi Club Analytics. The link's in my description below. And Resi Club pulls the raw Zillow data and puts it into a nice table and chart that we can analyze. So this shows us the metro area, the 1 year, year over year from April to April. So April 2023 through April 2024, the home value increase, and then the month over month increase as well. And again, this is just the top 100 metros to keep things simple. So when we look at the top 100 metros, you can see, for instance, New York, 1 year increase in value, 7.6%. Month over month from March through April, they were up 1.23%. Los Angeles up 9.43% year over year, up 1.67% month over month. Chicago up 7%, 7.7% and 1.7%. Dallas, Texas up 1.7% and up just under 1% month over month. And when you look at this, if we sort it by smallest to largest, remember, this is just the top 100 metros. You can see in the top 100 metros, there were only, 5 metros that actually decreased year over year, according to Zillow values. Now let's look at month over month. And you can see here as I scroll down, remember this column here is month over month. No metro area in the top 100 actually decreased. And remember that, that's important. And also remember the fact that year over year, only 5 metros actually decreased. Let's look at what increased the most year over year. Look at this. San Jose up 12%, Hartford, Connecticut up 12%, San Diego up 12%, Syracuse up 12%, Bridgeport, Connecticut up almost 12%, New Haven, Connecticut 11.25%. So yeah, definitely some winners on here. I'm in Ohio. Look at Toledo, Ohio, 8.87%. What's going on in Toledo? Maybe I should drive up there and find out. Cleveland, Believe Land up 8%. And you have some other big cities, and you have some big cities in here too, right? Miami, Florida up 7.25%. Seattle, Washington up 6.67%. So the point is, there's been a clear increase in home values year over year, according to Zillow data. Now let's look at month over month and see where they increased the most as well. San Jose, Rochester, New York, San Francisco, Syracuse, Seattle, Milwaukee, Madison, Wichita, Kansas, all of these increased at least 2%, some of them almost 3%. So they're definitely metro areas they've identified that went up month over month from March to April. And it's the spring home buying season. So usually that makes sense. Even the bustling metropolis of Toledo, Ohio was up 1.77% month over month. And again, this is from Lance Lambert at Resi Club Analytics. That's where I got this format. The data, however, he downloaded from Zillow. And you can do the same. You can actually go to the data center in Zillow and download it and put it into Excel and mess around with it, or just download it and look at it. Either way, it's available for anybody to look at. All right, now what we're going to do is actually review a quick article from Zillow about the forecast and then look at the forecast data. All right, so every month they come out with a forecast. They also come out with a recap of the month and the data in the housing market. So this update came out May 16th, 2024. And it says Zillow's forecast of home values and existing home sales were both revised downward this month. Zillow's home value forecast now anticipates 0.6% growth over 2024, down from last month's projection for 1.9% growth over 2024, and much slower than the pre-pandemic average annual appreciation rate of around 5%. Over the next 12 months, Zillow forecasts home values to decline. You heard me right, decline by 0.9%. So Zillow thinks over the next 12 months, home values will actually come down about 1%. And remember, you got to think, like, if you look at a year in advance, we would have to finish out this year and then go through the winter and the spring buying season of 2025. But they're saying the values through that entire time period won't actually go up. They also mention home sales or home sale volume, but we're not really talking about that today as much. However, they do add Zillow now expects 4.05 million existing home sales in 2024, down from last month's prediction of 4.1 million. Should that materialize, it would reflect a 0.9% year over year decline. So in other words, really, they're expecting a 0.9% drop in value and a 0.9% drop in sales. The expected deceleration of home value growth reflects a gradual shift in favor of buyers. The market has recently seen a notable increase in the new for sale listings, specifically a 15.5% annual increase in April, up from 3.8% in March. This uptick is causing some listings to linger on the market for extended periods, resulting in more negotiating power for buyers. So far, sales have not caught up with the increase in new listings as elevated mortgage rates continue to constrain housing demand and hinder affordability. While Zillow expects a mild recovery in sales later this year, due in part to an expectation of lower mortgage rates, recent mortgage rate increases have dampened some of those growth expectations. And again, comment, I want to know, in your area, are you seeing houses sit longer? Are they taking longer to sell? And I'm talking about affordable homes. I mean, if you're I'm not talking about $5 million homes, or if you're in a market where homes are usually 300 grand and you're talking about $800,000 homes. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about affordable homes. So are affordable homes sitting on the market longer, or are they actually selling fast? I can clearly tell you from my market perspective, I'm a realtor, I'm a real estate agent, also an investor. Affordable homes that are dialed in are not sitting long at all. They're going quick, usually within a few days. And if they are ready to move into and they're dialed in from a rehab perspective, usually they're getting multiple offers. But I am seeing more expensive homes take longer to sell, especially if they have no real unique features or if they're overpriced. It's critical, folks, By the way, just some home seller advice. It's critical to price that home right out of the gate. If you price it wrong in a normal market, you will suffer. If you price it wrong in a market like we had during the pandemic, nothing really matters. It'll sell anyway. But that was an anomaly. So back to the data. If you look here on the screen, this gives you the Zillow home price forecast, and it's a graph that you can kind of play around with and look at different regions, right? You can look at different cities across the country and then track the actual home value forecast. Remember, these aren't home values, these are the forecasts. So we're here right now, April 2024. Home values, they say, according to Zillow, 358,734. So on this graph, you can see they'll actually take you from April 2024 all the way through April of 2025. So year over year, you can see the decline all the way. If you fast forward to April of 2025, they expect home values to decline by 0.6%. Now, the weird thing is they talk about 0.9% at the top here. I'm wondering if that's a typo. Doesn't really matter to me when it comes to the 0.9 or 0.6. Regardless, it is a decline, not an increase. And I'm going to show you more of the details in a second when we look at actual metro level information. So this chart can be helpful, but let's go to the real data. All right, so what I did was I downloaded the raw Zillow data from their data center and then put it into Excel rather than just using their chart. And when I look at this, one of the things I see immediately is you can see here in this first line, United States all over throughout the United States, we've got a negative 0.9% figure. So a drop of 0.9%. So that's what I'm going to go with, this 0.9% drop. So these columns are, we've got the size rank, which is the ranking of the metro area with population. You got the region name, which is usually the state. You got the base date, which is where the forecast is starting from. So for this exercise in this video, the base date is April 2024. And then they look at May 2024. Then they look at July 2024. And then they look at April 2025. So they're not only forecasting a month from now, but I'm actually talking in the middle of May right now. So they're saying by the end of May, we're going to end up at this, in this column here. By the end of July, we'll end up here. And by the end of April 2025, this is where we're going to end up. So let's look at some of the large metros. Again, I looked at just the top 100. So across the United States, they're saying by the end of this month, we're going to see a month over month growth from April through the end of May of 0.8% growth overall. Then at the end of July, we're going to see a growth of 1.4% if you start from the beginning of May or the end of April, however you want to look at that. And then at the end of the year, 0.9% drop. All right, so New York, 0.7% through the end of May, 0.7% through the end of July, a negative 3%, a drop of 3% in home value. Looking forward to this time next year in New York. Los Angeles, 0.7, 0.2% increase, 1.8% drop. Chicago, 1.1% increase, 1.9% increase, 2.7% drop. Dallas, 0.8% drop. Houston, Texas, 1.5% drop. Washington, D.C., 3.2% drop. So I got curious and said, all right, well, how many of these metros are actually supposed to decrease out of all the top 100 that they look at? And it was pretty staggering. When you look at this, you can see all these are negative. And you really don't hit a zero until you get down to line 59, meaning about 58 of the top 100 metros Zillow projects will actually drop in home value between now and this time next year. So who's supposed to drop the most? Check this out. New Orleans, Louisiana, down 6.6% this time next year. Baton Rouge, down 4.7%. San Francisco, down 4.5%. Honolulu, down 3.9%. Minneapolis, down 3.7%. And the list goes on, right? So those are the areas they project will drop the most. Now let's look at who will increase the most. So Knoxville, Tennessee, an increase of 3.3%. So you really have to take a step back and think about this data. If this is true, then the majority of the largest metropolitan areas in the United States are projected to see home value drops next year by this time next year. And best case of the top 100, you've got Knoxville, Tennessee clocking in at 3.3% increase. So you're not seeing 10% increases, 15% increases, 20% increases. A lot of the metros here on this list are actually increasing year over year right now. But by this time next year, Zillow says that's not happening. Now, one other thing to point out is look at some of these top metros and the growth that they're having month over month. So there's positive growth in many of these metros across the United States, right? I mean, that's the first two columns, right? They're saying, hey, through May, this is what it's going to be. Through July, this is what it's going to be. And there's not near as many red boxes as there are green boxes in these columns, these first two columns. But then you get over to the third column and you definitely see more red, a lot more red. If you look at a place like Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 0.9% increase through May, through July, 1.5% increase, but come next year, a drop of 1.2%. And comment below, I want to know if you live in one of these metros, is this what you think will happen? Do you think overall prices will come down this much? Will they come down more? Or do you think they'll actually go up and Zillow's completely wrong? Now, let's not kid anybody, right? I mean, a drop of 3, 5, 7%, 6%, heck, even 10% isn't really going to put a dent in the housing affordability overall throughout the United States, right? We need more of a drop than that. Will we get it? Don't know. But if inventory, and that's what I would watch in your local market, if inventory continues to increase and days on market, how long properties take to sell, if the longer they sit on the market, the bigger chances of a price discount become. So I would look at two things in your local housing market. I would look at how long properties sit on the market, days on market, that's what that's called, and also inventory, how much active inventory is in the area you want to purchase and the price point you want to purchase. It's critical to compare both. Now, one thing you can do is jump into Zillow and use their website to find a property, even if you don't have access to the MLS. So check this out. I'm in Columbus right now. That's what I have selected here. I just typed in Columbus, Ohio, and it shows me essentially all the houses right now for sale. But I'm going to sort by price. So I want to look at houses from $0 to $250,000. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is zoom in and actually pinpoint an area. So to pinpoint an area, I can type in a zip code. I can type even a subdivision in, but I can also draw. So here, I'm going to actually draw an area, pretending that I want to buy in this area in Columbus. And then it narrows it down, the results down to just that area for houses under $250,000. Now, one of the features about Zillow that I actually like, if you're a home buyer and how to look at your own market, is the days on Zillow. So down here, it says, it has different selections. This is really days on market. So I'm going to say 90 days. Let's find out if there's anything at all. Up, there's a few properties. So these have all been on Zillow at least 90 days. They're all under $250,000 and they're in the area I want to purchase. So then once I find a property on here that I'm interested in, what I would do next is I would take a couple of these properties I'm interested in and add them to my deal funnel. The cool thing is I actually provide a free template for the deal funnel in my link in the description below. I would definitely check it out if I were you. But here's what it looks like. So the deal funnel is basically a collection of all the properties that you're interested in. And this particular file is in Google Sheets. Like I said, you can download it in the link below. And this allows you to basically track the properties that you're interested in, maybe buying. And sometimes it's good to just track them for a period of time, even if you're not in the mode of buying today, because you can get a sense of your market and especially the neighborhood you're interested in. So this has all types of parameters in here. You can add your own if you want to, but it's got everything from the address, obviously, to the number of units, because some of these are multifamily maybe. It's got the square footage, the list price, the original list price. And the idea is to stick the properties into the deal funnel and then constantly watch them. And as you watch them, you'll start to see trends emerge in the market that you're looking to buy in. Now, if you want to take it a step further, I actually provide a flip calculator in here too. So you can actually plug the data in here and find out if it makes a good flip or not. how much money you could make on a flip if you decide to go that route. I also have a tab in here for the rental calculator. So this rental calculator will tell you if a property will actually cash flow using the tools that most real estate professionals use. I use a tool like this all the time. And again, that file's free. Download it in the link below. So pretty exciting stuff, right? I mean, you've got Zillow actually saying, hey, home prices are coming down. They're not going to keep going up like we've seen recently. And if you're looking to buy, that's probably some good news. And if you're a seller, I wouldn't worry about it too much. You got to know your local market, get with a real estate professional, or just use Zillow like I just did to analyze your current market. But in any case, even if you're a seller, it's not the end of the world. I mean, a few percentage point drop in value isn't going to kill your equity probably. So make sure you understand all the cost involved in selling and the cost involved in buying, because a few percentage points, again, aren't going to make that much of a difference. So yeah, good news, right? Some breath of fresh air from the housing market finally. May see some price stabilization. Now, the truth is it could take years for us to actually come back to some type of normalcy with, wages hopefully increasing in the near future, maybe home prices slightly coming down or staying flat, maybe interest rates coming down. But I will tell you this and be warned. If you're out there thinking home prices will drop 40% and there'll be houses sitting on every corner, I don't see that happening, honestly. Why? Well, because there's too many serious buyers with cash waiting to buy on the sideline. And those are usually investors. So investors know single family houses in particular make great investments, and they're ready to purchase if prices or rates drop too much. Having said that, it looks like there could be some deals coming. Again, watch inventory, watch days on market. Those are your real big two clues. Okay, so I hope you got some value and some new information to help you be a better buyer, seller, or investor in real estate. And we'll see you again on the next video.